Hello, welcome. How are you doing tonight? Happy Monday. I want to talk to you about joy in work. Are you feeling joy in work right now? Do you feel is it gotten better or worse during this pandemic? I'm definitely hearing mixed things out there. But there's definitely methods to support you, your well-being, and resilience. It can help improve your overall ability to have joy in work. So, welcome to Connector Dots. These are brief, candid conversations on healthcare and pharmacy and life for connectors and pharmovators. Today, during our Mindset Monday topic, we're going to be exploring the Institute for Healthcare Improvement's Joy in Work framework, as well as I want to share with you something neat that I discovered that they provided, which is called Psychological PPE, so personal protective equipment, but focused on your well-being and resilience. So they've taken some of the recommendations that they have in Joy in Work and are including them related to the topic of this current pandemic. So I'm just checking to see if I'm live and connecting with you. So hopefully shows that I am. I don't want to disrupt you too much. So I'm your host, Kimber Booth. I'm a strategic pharmacy coach and consultant, and I've been a pharmacist, healthcare leader, and entrepreneur. And I currently am helping pharmacists to advocate for roles and resources to advance pharmacy practice, as well as to have joyful, engaging careers. So I'm happy that you're joining me for this session, whether you're here live right now or you're watching it on a recording. So what I want to talk tonight about is a little bit about mindset. Of course, it's a Mindset Monday and how joy in work it connects. I'm all about connecting the dots, So, pardon me. So, we'll talk about what is the Institute for Healthcare Improvement's, framework for improving joy in work. And then I'm going to talk about that psychological PPE. So let's do this. We'll try and be done in 10 minutes. I think 10 to 15 minutes is a sweet spot for these conversations. So mindset, as you know, or maybe don't realize, it's the definition that I found that I just love about mindset and why it is so important is it's a habitual or characteristic mental state that determines how you're going to interpret and respond to situations. So the key thing for me there is just it's habitual, right? And we can control that just like we can form other habits. So the key here is you can build and develop your habits of how you think and approach a given situation. So when they do say it's about you and how you receive and respond to things, in many cases that is the case. So when the Institute for Healthcare Improvement created the framework for improving joy in work, they wanted to flip it, right? We've been talking a lot about burnout, and it's definitely a real thing, and lots of research that we won't have time to go over today, but we want to address this from a positive perspective. Definitely focusing on well-being and resilience is important, but also flipping it to think about what are the positive aspects of our work. And how, if we focus on those positive aspects, can we reframe our mindset to enjoy what we're doing? It's not easy what we do, right? We are taking care of patients in challenging situations. And this is where, when I asked you before, is your joy in work getting more or is it getting better or worse? There's some aspects of the joy in work framework that would make me think that it should get better because we're able to be helping. But there's other aspects, the not having time, some of the very busy organizations that have been dealing with, surges in patients and not feeling like you're in control. Those can definitely take away from it. So again, we'll talk about the framework. There's definitely many aspects of the framework, and we're not going to go into detail on all of them here. I definitely would encourage you go to the Institute for Healthcare Improvement's website, and they have their recommendations. And of course, they approach this in a quality improvement framework, right? It's a Institute for Healthcare Improvement. That is where we go to learn about all of our PDSA cycles, quality improvement. So of course, they're addressing this issue of burnout and the need to provide joy in work in the same fashion. So they provide a recommendation testing and implementation process where you assess your teams by starting with the basic question of, what matters to you, and having those structured steps for leaders to then follow this pathway of how you're going to get from here to there. So identifying the needs, putting small things in place to address them, and measure them to see if you're having an impact. Now, the components then of the framework shows what those critical components are to having joyful, engaged workforce. And I'll just list those off for you so you're familiar with them. Oh, it does say that it's not showing up on LinkedIn. So apologies here, team. All right. Well, my followers on LinkedIn may not be getting the stream right now, so these seem to be a technical difficulty. I'll upload it for them later on. So the components of the framework start with things that we can provide as leaders to kind of set the stage, kind of like the baseline hierarchical aspects of Maslow's hierarchy. But it includes physical and psychological safety, having meaning and purpose in work, choice and autonomy, recognition and rewards, and then we move more to things that our managers could be working on, which is participative management. So how can we involve our team members so they're engaged and involved? Camaraderie and teamwork is important. And then as we move to the individuals, that's where daily improvement, being able to have and make progress, learning and knowing well-being and resilience, which is of course the main aspect I wanted to talk about today, and then real-time measurement, so knowing again how much of an impact you're having. So those are the aspects of the framework that the IHA recommends that you have included in your program, and then you conduct it through that kind of iterative quality improvement process. So it's a great tool. I know some our pharmacy organizations have definitely provided information out there, and I definitely had the honor of participating in the American Pharmacists Association Wellbeing and Resilience workshop last year, where we came up with some of those recommendations, and they are on their website along with several of the other pharmacy organizations. But I want to turn our attention to the psychological PPE. So what is this personal protective equipment to promote mental health and well-being? So again, some of this is going to seem straightforward, but we need to practice it, of course. So there's recommendations for the individual and recommendations for the team leader. For the individual, first recommendation is to take a day off and create space between work and home life. Avoid publicity and media coverage about COVID. I know I shared with you last week that this was a big challenge for me, that I had let some of that seep in a little too much. So I've had my holidays away from media coverage of a variety of news topics. Receive mental health support during and after the crisis. So luckily, if you work in a healthcare organization, you probably already have access to that easily. Your insurance usually has it, and there's plenty of other hotlines. And it doesn't have to be formal. Having a counselor is helpful to talk with somebody. May not be good to focus with your spouse and put that all on them or your significant others. Showing gratitude, of course, that is a well-known fact that showing gratitude helps us, and so finding ways to facilitate that is a recommendation. And then reframing negative experiences as positive experiences. This is where, like in healthcare, it is an honor to do what we do. It is hard sometimes, but if we, again, can reframe it and think about it, our mindset, how are we approaching the situation? Can we be thankful for having the opportunities that we have to serve? I know that during the crisis, I was not able to be on the front lines, although I was ready and primed to do it. There was not a need in my current region, but with some of my consulting clients, health systems that I do strategic planning and strategic project work for, I was able to be involved in helping support the response to the pandemic. And so I felt very honored and privileged to be able to do that. And I definitely, was busy doing that, but really was glad to be able to be a part of this in some way. So you can find your ways, and again, think about your mindset and reframing those experiences. Our team leaders, this is where we can look at the times and our shifts to see how we can allow people to have time off. Making sure we have those clear delineations of who they can communicate, training our managers to be aware of risk signs and help to monitor our staff for signs of distress and burnout, help make some of that support available, how to access mental health support, but also even with peer support to each other. And even potentially, their last recommendation is to provide buddy system. That's not too formal, but a process where you kind of do pair people up. So at least for sure somebody is checking in with the other person. So I hope you've enjoyed this few connector dots on the importance of joy in work and some of the tools that the Institute for Healthcare Improvement have available. I know in the program that I teach within the pharmovation course, I have a mindset bonus, and in there I definitely share some of these steps and aspects of how to incorporate the joy in work into your daily life or as a specific strategic initiative for your department. So thanks again for joining me. Join me for future live Connector Dots. On Tuesdays, we are going to be focusing on the Connector Live blog podcast and what I will have releasing later this week on business plans. And I'm going to give you some previews and highlights of that. Please join me on my email list at www.kimberbooth.com/connect to join that list so that I can share with you summaries of these programs and other information that I only share with people. So I leave you with be bold, be a connector, advance healthcare and pharmacy practice, and have fun, enjoy doing it. Thanks so much.